Welcome to another video. In this episode, we will be discussing the chariots of the Heavenly Father putting judgment on Israelites. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. This video will be entitled Chariots Will Shoot Laser Beams on Israelites Too. Chariots will shoot laser beams on Israelites too, as well as the other nations, as well as, the wicked. Now, the chariots are the so-called UFOs, spaceships, the vehicles of the heavens that the angels patrol the earth in and that they fly in. Okay, this is the same way the elect will be beamed up into chariots and saved. But the opposite of that is that the wicked Israelites, many of the wicked Israelites, not all of them, because most of them going to be burned by the nuclear destruction over here in Babylon the Great, but in the other parts of the world, as well as in America, Babylon the Great, Israelites will also experience being destroyed or zapped with laser beams from these chariots. Now on the screen, there's an artist rendering and different brothers. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but you got brothers that are generating these photos, which are awesome. Different ones. This one has been going around for a few weeks. And once I saw it, I snagged it. You can tell it's an AI photo, of course, because the people's faces really, it's a perfect rendering on what it could look like. We don't know exactly how it will look because this shows fire coming out of the heavens, of course. And then you see the ships back there flying around and whatnot, right? You see people running with a look of horror on their faces, and that's similar to what it will be like. But we imagine laser beams, something more, but we know it'll be concentrated fire that's going to burn the Lord's enemies. Now, oftentimes we talk about the other nations getting zapped with laser beams and this and that, but we can't leave out the fact that many that are going to be zapped by the chariots, so-called UFOs, spaceships, whatever you want to call them, flying saucers, many of those that will be destroyed will be Israelites. A lot of times Jake get too proud. You think that, you take for granted that the fact that you're Israelites, you think that means you automatically got a seat with the Lord. No, it's quite the opposite. Only the elect is going to be saved. And many of you out there don't even believe in the chariots. So if you don't even believe in the chariots, what odds do you think there are that you're going to be saved by them? They're coming for two purposes. They're going to save the elect, and they are going to destroy everything else. Everything else that's of this world that is not of the Lord, that's not of the elect, they're going to light it on fire. Monuments, right? What are they called? Idolatry, these different monuments, the Statue of Liberty, the Washington Monument, whatever monuments that Esau has in his society all over the earth, these chariots are going to be putting in work. And it's no laughing matter. Now, the great thing about these photos and stuff that when we see them is that they always, and brothers make sure that they always depict something that's in the scriptures. So is this in the Bible? So-called black people running, chariots flying, zooming around, and fire coming out of the heavens. Is that in the Bible? Well, let's examine it and see. So this is first Revelation 19 and verse 11. Notice at the top, it says the coming of the anointed. Now, the scriptures ain't going to say, then spaceships going to come and they're going to shoot them on people. People going to melt. It's not going to say it that way. But we will give you some of what they say. Revelation 19 and 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. So what is heaven? What is this speaking of? It's talking about the heavens above the earth, the sky, right? The atmosphere above the earth. And that white horse, the white represents purity and the horse represents power, which we know there's going to be a chariot. If we go to Isaiah 19, sometimes it's called a horse, sometimes it's called a cloud, other times it's called a wheel inside of a wheel or a great mountain. Isaiah 19 verse 1, it says the burden of Egypt, and this is spiritual Egypt, which is America, Babylon the Great. It says, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. So this thing that the Lord is on is known as a swift cloud. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. You see? So the people are going to be greatly afraid when they see this great swift moving cloud. All right. Now in another verse, if I may go to it and grab it as quick as I can, in 2nd Ezra chapter 13, it talks about the Lord riding on something that was gigantic and huge, like a great mountain. Let's see if we can grab it real quick. 2nd Ezra 13. Right? Just real quick. 2nd Ezra 13, verse 1 says, "And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof." Now this sea spoken about right here is the heavens above the earth. When you go back to the account of the earth being made in Genesis, it said the Lord divided the waters from the waters. Some of the waters went above, others went beneath. The waters above, right? The Hebrew word is mayim, okay, or shemayim for the waters, which is what it's speaking of, the atmosphere above the earth. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. That man is Yahushua. The thousands of heaven are the armies above, the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth filleth when it filleth the fire. So here he's talking about fire, the Lord coming, right? Let's read a little more. It says, "And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea." This is when the Lord comes back in World War III. All those men gathered together from the four winds of heaven, meaning all over the earth. They were fighting World War III, but when the Lord comes back, everybody's going to stop doing what they're doing and try to fight him. "But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it." See? So whatever he was riding on was like a gigantic, huge vessel, so big it was like a mountain. Some places it's called a chariot, other places it is called a horse. Okay, a white horse, a white cloud. Going back to Revelation 19 and 11, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war." See that? So he's going to judge. He's going to bring the judgment when he comes. It says his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High. So see, the Savior's going to come, many crowns, right? King of Kings, Lord of Lords, with his flying chariots. Now it goes on, it says, "And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean." So not only is it going to be him, he's going to have a whole army with him, a whole armada of ships, and they're going to be emitting radiation, fire, and heat. I don't want to say radiation, concentrated fire. Salakia, not radiation, because that's going to come out of the nuclear missiles. This is going to be concentrated fire coming out of the chariots. Okay. So again, it says, "And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses." So he was classified as on a white horse, a great big mountain. And then he's going to have other smaller mountains that are with him, or smaller ships, which are the angels inside of those, a whole army. Now, you think about armies on the earth, you think about a ground force. That's what you think about. But the armies of heaven, and then also when you think about the Navy, you think about the ships, the boats, think about Marines. Well, these armies of heaven, they do all of that. And they ain't no Air Force. They do air, sea, land, space. They do it all. All these vessels do all of it. And they do have weapons, lightning bolts. They have, many capabilities that they do possess. Let's read a little more here before we get into that. "And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations." See? So these angels in the chariots in the Lord, they're going to be fighting. These sharp swords coming out of their mouth is what? Laser beams out of the chariots. And it says, "And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of almighty power. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So we know that this is definitely Yahushua who the scriptures talk about. Now let's go real quick and read the Good News translation of this. Just to read it. Why not? Revelation 19:11 says, Then I saw heaven open, and there was a white horse. His rider is called Faithful and True. It is with justice that he judges and fights his battles. Who's he going to fight his battles against? All the nations and every one wicked Israelites included. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and he wore many crowns on his head. He had a name written on him, but no one except himself knows what it is. The robe he wore was covered with blood. What does that symbolize? That symbolizes the amount of bloodshed he's going to exhibit all over the earth, from one end of the earth to the other. This is why you hear me say often, when the Lord comes, he's going to set a new death high score in the earth. Okay. The robe he wore was covered with blood. His name is the Word of the Most High. The armies of heaven followed him, riding on white horses and dressed in clean white linen. Out of his mouth came a sharp sword. With which he will defeat the nations. He will rule over them with a rod of iron, and he will trample out the wine in the winepress of the furious anger of the Almighty God. See that? On his robe and on his thigh was written the name King of Kings and Lord of Lords. There you go. So you know who it is. So this is the scenario of the Lord coming back in the second coming, and all those who are not of the elect. First over here in America, Babylon the Great, and all over the earth. If you are not of the elect, not every Israelite is going to get hit with laser beams, especially in Babylon the Great, but many will. Many will experience the death from the chariots. Okay, chariots will shoot laser beams on Israelites too. You're going to be a part of that number. Let's finish reading and get more scriptures to back this up. Now, first, I want to go to Wisdom of Solomon. Right, and we're going to start around about verse 13. This is Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 13. And I'll just jump in here in the middle. It says, Even so we in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end and had no sign of virtue to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness. For the hope of the ungodly is like dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin froth that is driven away with the storm, like as the smoke which is dispersed here and there with the tempest, and passes away as the remembrance of a guest that tarrieth but a day. But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward is also with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. That's for the elect. For with his right hand shall he cover them in his arm, and with his arm shall he protect them. He shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. He shall put on righteousness as a breastplate, and true judgment instead of an helmet. He shall take holiness for an invincible shield. His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Listen to this. Then shall the right, aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast out as a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. Yea, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. So the point here, then shall the right, aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds of the chariots, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. Niggas gonna be getting hit with laser beams, cause just to put it to you in short, out of the chariots. Let's get Jude chapter 1 now. It says, in Enoch also the seventh. Before we do that, let's go to the Good News translation and see what it gives us on that Wisdom of Solomon. So lock you on that. Wisdom of Solomon 5. Was it around verse 13? It says, it is the same with us. We were born and then we ceased to be. We left no sign of virtue behind us. We were destroyed by our wickedness. What hope do wicked people have? Only the hope of straw blown about in the wind, the hope of ocean foam that disappears in the storm, the hope of smoke in the breeze. Their hope lasts longer than our memory of a guest who stays one day and leaves the next. But the righteous live on forever. The Lord will reward them. The Most High will protect them. He will give them royal splendor and a magnificent crown. He will shield them with his powerful arm. He will go out into battle determined to defeat his enemies and use the creation itself as a weapon. Righteousness will be his armor. Genuine justice will be his helmet. Holiness will be his invincible shield. He will sharpen his stern anger into a sword, and the forces of nature will join him in battle against those who are foolish enough to oppose him. Bolts of lightning will strike right on target, as if the Lord had made a bow out of the clouds and was shooting arrows. That's laser beams coming out of the chariots. Hailstones will beat down on his enemies with terrible force. The oceans and rivers will come rushing over them in a devastating flood. Great windstorms will blow them away like straw. Lawlessness will be the ruin of the whole world. Evil actions will cause governments to fall, and that's before the Lord comes. And that storm and that windstorm that's spoken of, that's nuclear destruction. All right, we'll leave off from here and we'll come right back, Lord willing. So let's get to Jude now, because this image, this should be in your mind. It even tells us in the scriptures, when the Lord comes, he's going to come with the clouds of heaven, and people are going to be afraid. Let's go there real quick. All right, pardon me. It took a little bit of time. More time than I wanted it to take. All right, so this is going to be Revelation 1. So like here, Revelation 1 verse 7, it says, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. So see, the whole world is going to be in fear. Let's see if we get something from it. I'm just curious to see what it would say. Revelation 1 from the Good News Translation, and verse 7, it says, look, he is coming on clouds. Everyone will see him, including those who pierced him. All peoples on earth will mourn over him. So shall it be. Yeah, people gonna mourn. When they see the earth, the atmosphere fill up with these spaceships, they ain't gonna know what to do. This is continuing on now with Jude chapter 1 verse 14. It says, and Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these. What? Prophesied of what? Of the angels in the chariots coming back with the Lord. Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. You see? So the Lord is going to come with judgment, just like it said in Revelation 19. Now, if we can go real quick over to the Good News Translation, Book of Jude, which is only one chapter. Verse 14 again, it says what? It was Enoch, the seventh direct descendant from Adam, who long ago prophesied this about them. The Lord will come with many thousands of his holy angels to bring judgment on all, to convince them all for the godless deeds they have performed, and for all the terrible words that godless sinners have spoken against him. These people are always grumbling and blaming others. They follow their own evil desires. They brag about themselves and flatter others in order to get their own way. But remember, my friends, what you were told in the past by the apostles of our Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach. They said to you, when the last days come, people will appear who will make fun of you, people who follow their own godless desires. All right, so we understand that people don't believe in the chariots, but Guess what? If you don't believe in him, you yourself are a prime candidate for one that may get set on fire by him. Set on fire and completely destroyed, annihilated. Okay. So let's keep going. Just a few more now. We're gonna start getting to these nitty gritties, these really good scriptures. So this one is 2 Thessalonians 1 and verse 6. And it reads, seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, and to you who are troubled, rest with us. Right. So now the Lord is going to revenge he's going to take revenge on all our enemies. He's going to bring a judgment upon all those that are against us, especially against other nations in Esau. But you have those that are in the house of Israel as well. What does it say? It says, when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel. What? And that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. What do you see right here? Them that know not our Lord and that obey not his gospel, they're going to be punished with everlasting destruction coming out of these chariots. Fire, brimstone. You see those thunderbolts, as it were. Thunderbolts just represent what? The ferocity in which they're going to come. They're going to come out like thunderbolts. Zapping motherfuckers. Light them on fire. Destroying them. Turning them into powder. All these hard-hearted sinners that run their mouth, that talk against the Lord. So you think everything just going to be easy and nice and sweet. No, you heard the description when the Lord came in Revelation 19. Like his robe was covered in blood. That represents the amount of bloodshed he's going to exhibit. He's going to take himself a great kingdom. And what does every great warrior have to do to get his kingdom? He has to take down his enemies. And you 2/3 niggas, you're enemies of the Lord. You right in league with the rest. It says, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. When? When he shall come to be glorified in his saints and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. And when we give you the testimony, many people don't believe the testimony which we give. But the scriptures say, you have a lot of people that say, we don't got to, just because we don't believe what y'all saying. Well, the scripture just told you, because our testimony among you was believed. People have to come forth and give the testimony first. And those that believe, which are the elect, they'll be saved. And the rest, you're enemies. And you got to go. That's why this lesson is being done, because wicked Israelites or the Chariots will shoot laser beams on Israelites too. Now let's go to the Good News Translation, 2 Thessalonians, which that was chapter 1, around verse 6. 2 Thessalonians 1 and 6 from the GNT. It says, the Most High will do what is right. He will bring suffering on those who make you suffer, and he will give relief to you who suffer, and to us as well. He will do this when the Lord Yahushua appears from heaven with his mighty angels, with flaming fire, to punish those who reject the Most High and who do not obey the good news about our Lord Yahushua. They will suffer the punishment of eternal destruction, separated from the presence of the Lord and from his glorious might, when he comes on that day to receive glory from all his people and honor from all who believe. You too will be among them, because you have believed the message that we told you. Woo! Fire! You heard it. And we don't have to prolong this video. I'm going to get into a little bit more here. This is Isaiah 66 and verse 15. It says, for behold, the Lord will come with fire. What? Behold, the Lord will come with fire. And when you see these, you see the chariots, you see the fire coming right here? That's coming out of chariots. See? You can't find the scriptures, brothers. Yes, we can, you dumb nigga. We just read it. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. This is why his robe is covered in blood. The slain of the Lord shall be many. Those that the Lord killed is going to be a great bunch, a whole heap. Who's going to be among it? They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh. Yeah, that's you, big fatty. Got your congregation eating pork. You keep making mockery and talking shit. You a false prophet. You're an agent. You got the people eating swine's flesh. They're going to get burned the fuck up. Eating swine's flesh and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. And you're not going to get out of it. You're not going to get out of it. Idiots that follow this fat ass false prophet nigga trying to build up a military. The Lord's going to burn your ass up too. You followed him. You should just leave. You see the dude ain't right. Who would follow such an obese monstrosity that can't break down the scriptures? You got to be the simplest nigga on the planet. That's why the Lord is going to burn your ass up. Isaiah 66:15, it says from the Good News Translation, the Lord will come with fire. He will ride on the wings of a storm to punish those he is angry with. And I don't know why they always think it's the wings of a storm. It said clearly the chariots, with his chariots. By fire and sword he will punish all the people of the world whom he finds guilty. And how are you found guilty? When you're going against what's in the word. Okay? You're found guilty. By fire and sword he will punish all the people of the world whom he finds guilty, and many will be put to death. The Lord says the end is near for those who purify themselves for pagan worship, who go in procession to sacred gardens, and who eat pork and mice and other disgusting foods. There you go. You see it? He's going to destroy them completely. So that's why we say a lot of Israelites, hey, all you wicked Israelites out there, your wicked congregations who are not worshiping the Lord in spirit and truth, you're not of the elect. Some of you may experience getting zapped by a laser beam from the chariots. Others of you going to just burn up in the damn missiles. Many of you going to die in the plagues preceding, leading up to Jacob's trouble and in Jacob's trouble. So the Lord going to do a whole lot of killing. He's going to do a lot of killing of Israelites. Yeah, you with the shirt on, the t-shirt that say Judah across the front. You think you can't be touched because you an Israelite? Yeah, okay. So this is Jeremiah 25 and verse 30. Yeah, we'll start here. It says, therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, the Lord shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. Now this right here was prophesied against all nations, and well, particularly this was against all nations, but we know the Israelites are going to be involved too, because those that are not the elect, they're going to get caught in it. See, the judgment already happened to the Israelites. Really, the judgment is for the other nations, but since Jake won't repent, you have to get the punishment of the other nations. If you're of the world, you're going to get the punishment that the world gets. It says, he shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for the Lord hath a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith the Lord. And part of the sword is what? Coming out of the chariots, a sharp sword out of his mouth. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And the slain of the Lord shall be at that day from one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be but dung upon the ground. You see that? The Lord's going to go forth from nation to nation in these chariots, lighting fools on fire. So even though you may not get destroyed by the nuclear destruction of the place you live, may not get hit by nuclear missiles, guess what? When the chariots come, you got to worry about that. And everybody going to be running, fleeing, trying to hide, running here and there, trying to get away from the Lord. It's in the scriptures, Revelation. First, before we do that, we're going to read Isaiah 66. I'm sorry, not Isaiah 66. We read that one already. Let's read Jeremiah Jeremiah 25 that we just read. Jeremiah 25 and verse 28. I'm sorry. 20 verse 30. It says, "You, Jeremiah, must proclaim everything I have said. You must tell these people the Lord will roar from heaven and thunder from the heights of heaven. He will roar against his people. He will roar against his people. He will shout like a man treading grapes. Everyone on earth will hear him, and the sound will echo to the ends of the earth. The Lord has a case against the nations. He will bring all people to trial and put the wicked to death. The Lord has spoken. The Lord Almighty says that disaster is coming from one nation after another, coming on one nation after another, and a great storm is gathering at the far ends of the earth. On that day, the bodies of those whom the Lord has killed will lie scattered from one end of the earth to the other. No one will mourn for them, and they will not be taken away and buried. They will lie on the ground like piles of manure, like little white turds after your dog take a poop outside, and it stay out there for a long time, and then it just start turning back into dust. That's how bodies are gonna be. In Babylon the great fire is gonna come and burn them all up. But those all over the earth, they're gonna be buried, but we're gonna make the elites do it. We're gonna make our slaves bury bodies. So here in Revelation 6, this shows you that people are gonna run when the Lord comes. They're gonna try to run. This is Revelation 6:15. It says, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" You see? But ain't nothing going to protect you from the Lord. You're not going to be able to get away. Many going to try to run to the bunkers and hide, do all the stuff you do. Not going to work. You're going to be dead. The Lord's going to burn Israelites too with these laser beams from the chariots. Bottom line, let's get here. Salakia. Let's show you another one. This is Revelation 14 and 14. It says, "The reapers. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle." Now, our fat friend that love pork, he thinks when the scriptures say one sat like unto the Son of Man, like it said it was like him, but it ain't him. You idiot. It's talking about Yahushua, man. Verse 15, "And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." The harvest of the earth is what? The harvest is the end of the world, when the Lord comes and he saves the elect and destroys others. "And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped." That's the elect getting beamed up into the chariots. "And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Most High." See that? So this right here, the winepress, is going to be all kinds of judgment pouring out from the Lord. He does judge and make war. Some going to get lit up from the chariots. Others going to get burned with nuclear destruction. And that's what it is. Let's get real quick before we shut it down. Revelation 14 and 14. Let's see what it says here. Whenever I notice that with this translation, whenever it talks about the chariots, they want to act like they want to call it a cloud, I mean, not a cloud. They act like they want to call it a storm and shit. They don't ever use the word chariots. I wonder why. Anyway, here it is. It says, "Then I looked, and there was a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was what looked like a human being, with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out from the temple and cried out in a loud voice to the one who was sitting on the cloud, Use your sickle and reap the harvest, because the time has come, the earth is ripe for the harvest. Then the one who sat on the cloud swung his sickle on the earth, and the earth's harvest was reaped. Then I saw another angel come out of the temple in heaven, and he also had a sharp sickle. Then another angel who was in charge of the fire came from the altar. He shouted in a loud voice to the angel who had the sharp sickle, "Use your sickle and cut the grapes from the vineyard of the earth, because the grapes are ripe." So the angel swung his sword on the earth, cut the grapes from the vine, and threw them into the winepress of the Most High's furious anger. The grapes were squeezed out in the winepress outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress in a flood 200 miles long and about 5 feet deep. And that's that severe judgment of the Lord playing out on the earth now. As we said, all Israelites were not of the elect. You're going to partake in that judgment too. Many of you going to get lit on fire. Them damn them BBLs and fake boobies and collagen lips and all that bullshit going to get burned right up with it. Burned up. I want to go to Matthew real quick. Matthew 13. Let's see what it says. It's Matthew 13. Round about verse 37. We'll start at 36. It says, Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and shall gather together out of his kingdom all things that offend in them which do iniquity. See, so when the Lord says he's going to gather out of his kingdom, it means they're going to be destroyed, because the kingdom is going to be on the earth. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Now that's the nuclear destruction specifically. Right? Here, verse 47, it says, Again, the kingdom of heaven is likened to a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered the good in the vessels, but cast the bad away. This is being done in the spirit now. The net is being cast out, and brothers preaching, teaching, right? They're casting out the line to try to catch fish. The good seed or the good fish are the children of the kingdom, and all you damn sea urchins, eels, crabs, lobsters, starfish, other octopus, squids, you getting thrown back. And that represents what? You're going to be destroyed. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. You see, so a lot of Israelites gonna get destroyed by the chariots though before the Lord lets the nuclear warheads come here. A lot of jakes gonna be getting lit up on fire. They're gonna get burned up. Yes, the chariots will shoot laser beams on Israelites too. All those, hey, we read it in Jude. And flaming fire taking vengeance on those, or in Thessalonians. And flaming fire taking vengeance on all those that know not the Lord and obey not the gospel of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. So that's it for the lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying. You got something out of it. Hey, consider what you heard here today. All praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua. Shalom.